I am going to say many would be able to relate to it. And why I'm saying this? Because if we let go of this victim mentality, we can actually change our entire life. Let's say, I was thinking about driving the other day. And when you're driving a car, where do you look most of the times? Forward, you're looking ahead and through that windshield, right? And not backward through the rear window. But you're sure we do at times glance at the rear view mirror, occasionally to know what's behind you. But if you try driving while only looking backward, I'm sure you'd crash pretty quickly. And that's exactly what happens in our lives when get stuck in the victim mentality. We are trying to drive our lives while staring at the rear view mirror of past hurts, disappointments, and unfair situations. You must have heard many people saying when something goes wrong with them, why me? Why me? And they begin to blame the Almighty. So we can't move forward effectively because we are focused on what's behind us. So, what exactly is this victim mentality I'm talking about? Simply put, it's a way of looking at life where you feel powerless, like things just happen to you and you have no control. So, let me share three big signs that might mean you are stuck in this mindset. So it's a time for self reflection. One, blame game. You find yourself constantly pointing fingers at other people or circumstances for why things aren't going well. I would be successful if my boss wasn't mean, or I could be happy if my family supported me more. And this actually begins from childhood. Like Usha ji is a school teacher, and she would definitely relate to, or she must have heard students talking about when somebody scores less in an exam. Instead of introspecting that they might not have studied well, or you know, there's some gaps in their learning, they will begin to blame the teacher. Oh, this teacher doesn't give marks. Oh, the question paper was difficult. And this happens from there only. And many a times when a student approaches the student won't ask that where I went wrong. Instead, they keep on asking, why have you deducted my marks? So because they are in a way in their mindset blaming the teacher for this. And then number two, feeling helpless. You believe you have no power to change your situation. That is, what's the point of trying? Nothing ever works out for me anyway. And then number three, self pity party. You find yourself thinking or saying things like, why does this always happen to me? Or no one else has it as hard as I do. Because, it is very natural. Everybody feels that their own problems are the biggest instead of observing the world around them. So, if I may ask you, does any one of this sound familiar? And don't worry if it does. We all fall into such patterns sometimes in our lives. So let's look at, some everyday examples. So talking about a student, 14-year-old student who didn't make the basketball team. Now he could think the coach hates me. He never gives me a chance. It's so unfair. So that's victim thinking. Or consider Maria, a mom of three who's exhausted all the time. She might think, no one appreciates everything I do. My husband should know I need help without me having to ask. And it's not fair that everyone or everything falls on me. So that's also kind of victim thinking. Or take Ravi, who got passed over for a promotion at work. Now, he might think they always play favorites. I never get the recognition I deserve. Why even try anymore? Again, victim thinking. So the problem isn't that these feelings aren't real. They are, they absolutely are. The problem is that this way of thinking keeps us stuck and unhappy. So here's the good news for all of you. The moment you start taking responsibility, you start taking back your power. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything or pretending unfair things don't happen. It simply means focusing on what you can control instead of what you can't. So let's revisit our examples. So I was talking about Josh, who didn't make the basketball team. Now he could shift to saying, I need to practice my dribbling more. Maybe I could ask the coach what skills I need to improve for next year's tryouts. So, by taking responsibility, he now has a path forward. Isn't it better? Then Maria, the exhausted mom, could shift to I need to clearly ask for help I need. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's actually smart thinking. So she can make a list of tasks to delegate and have a family meeting about sharing responsibilities. Now, Maria has options instead of just frustration. Then Ravi, who missed the promotion, could think, let me ask my manager what specific skills I need to develop. Maybe I need to make my accomplishments more visible. And now he has a growth plan instead of just resentment for his boss. To see how powerful this shift is. When you move from this happened to me to what can I do about it? And that's when everything changes. So, one of the biggest shifts you can make is changing your questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? So, which keeps you looking in that rear view mirror, ask, what can I do now? Which points you towards the windshield in the road ahead. Let me tell you about my friend Priya. She lost a job during company layoffs last year, and that's very common in times of recession. The first few weeks, she was stuck saying, why me? It's so unfair. She spent hours complaining to friends and family about how unfairly she was treated. But then something shifted. She started asking different questions. What skills do I have that are valuable? What kind of work would actually make me happier? Or who in my network might know of some better opportunities for me? So, those new questions led her to discover a passion for teaching art to kids. She now does weekend art workshops that she loves and makes more money than her old job. So the situation didn't change. Her response to it definitely did. And here's some practical ways to shift out of victim thinking. One, catch yourself in the blame game. When you notice yourself blaming others, gently ask, what part of this can I take responsibility for? Number two, change your language. Notice when you say things like I have to or I can't, and try changing them to I choose to or I'm choosing not to. Number three, focus on solutions, not problems. You'll see many people, when you converse with them, they keep on talking about the problems, but will never talk about solutions. So, for every problem you identify, challenge yourself to think of at least one possible solution, because solutions will help you move ahead, not thinking about problems. So that is once again a way of taking responsibility of yourself. And then number four, practice gratitude. It's hard to feel like a victim when you're focused on what's going well and what you are thankful for. Supriya, a 16-year-old, who's always complaining how strict her parents were about screen time. Every day was a battle until her teacher suggested a gratitude journal. Once Supriya started writing down three things she was grateful for each day, she began noticing how her parents showed their love in other ways. The conflicts didn't disappear, but they became conversations instead of fights. So, definitely, you people can also try this at home, starting right there. Gratitude journal, and you can definitely ask your kids also to practice the same. So, in the family, there'll be much more harmony and peace. So, let's try a powerful exercise together. If you want, we can do it right now. I would like you to think about something you've been complaining about recently, something where you might have been stuck in victim thinking. So, think about it just in your mind, right? Great. Now, take a moment to analyze that situation, describe in your mind or to yourself how you have been viewing it as something happening to you out of your control. Think about it. Keep on doing. And next, I want you to rethink the same situation. If you want to do it after session, do it on paper. Write down on paper what is that thing that is basically thinking you, making you feel like a victim, and then rewrite the same situation. But this time as a challenge that you have power over. So instead of focusing on what others did wrong or how circumstances were unfair, focus on what you can do about it. And finally, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Or what can I do now? So, this will actually help you understand solution and come out of that victim zone, because finally you have begun to take responsibility of your actions. So, that will actually help you feel different. And this is a process, this is the power that helps you from coming out of that victim zone. Remember, looking occasionally in the rearview mirror of life is normal and even healthy. It's how we learn from our past. But when we drive while staring forward, or then we take the right step forward. But if we keep on driving, staring backward, we crash our future possibilities. The truth is, life isn't always fair. Bad things happen to good people. But the biggest question isn't why did this happen, but rather what will I do with what happened? Viktor Frank, who survived Nazi concentration camps, I'm sure you must have heard about them, once said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So you always have that space, that moment of choice between what happens to you and how you can respond. So, my invitation to you today is very simple. Start driving your life looking through the windshield instead of the rear view mirror. Take your hands off the blame button and put them back on the steering wheel of your life. And when you catch yourself asking, why me? Pause and replace it with what now? Because the moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the creator of your response, that's when everything changes. And that's when you truly begin to live. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening.